9:16. Welcome back to the morning show with Jeff and Will here on AM 1700 WRCR Haverstraw, WRCR.com. Joining us now, as she does every Monday at this time, it is the editor, founder, publisher of Rockland County Business Journal. You can find it at rcbizjournal.com. Tina Trasser. Good morning, Tina. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody in Rockland land. How are you?
I love the way you duplicate the land twice there at the end.
Rockland
land. As if to emphasize it, in fact, is a land. It's awesome.
A land indeed, a mysterious land where there is never a dull moment. This week, what happened was we learned that Rockland Green, which is the solid waste management authority that took over animal management a couple of years ago, has bonded $18 million of taxpayer money for the shelter construction, the animal shelter construction. And while nobody would dispute that Rockland County is desperately in need of a new and better shelter, some of the numbers here are worth noting, kind of staggering in places. Let me take this apart. So $18 million bond, this is probably the floor, not the ceiling, because we'll get back to that in a moment. But the way that breaks down is the $3.5 million purchase of the built-on-spec warehouse in West Haverstraw and a $14.7 million construction contract, basically to convert the warehouse into the animal shelter, into a 28,000 square foot animal shelter at 427 Beach Road. Now, I know a lot of numbers I'm going to throw around here. The contract was awarded to a North Carolina company that has done a lot of big projects, though never has built an animal shelter. The 28,000 vision for the building is, I think it's 7 times the size of the current shelter that we have. And while the shelter here is crowded, I don't know, 7 times the size seems like a rather large project. What I would say is concerning about certainly when this announcement was made last Tuesday, at a Rockland Green meeting. They're typically held on Thursday, but it seems to be held on a Tuesday. And Lon Hofstein, the legislator, was in the room. Rockland County Business Journal was there, and he pointed out that this $18 million is so much more than what Howard Phillips, the chairman of Rockland Green, had represented to the county legislature back a couple of years ago, when the county legislature was poised to sign off on bonding that would have been all in, that would have included grants, and that would not have actually involved taxpayer money going forward. This shelter plan it has so far been, over the course of just 3 years, has gone from $1.4 million to taxpayers to $1.6 million, and this year $1.8 million. So a 30% rise just over 3 years on the taxpayer dime. As I said, so when Lon Hofstein, pointed out that this is really exceeded, what was presented, the meeting really turned into a horrible spectacle, and Mr. Phillips got very, very agitated and hurled a lot of insults. But the bottom line is
like what? What kind of insults are we talking about here?
He take a read of a story, but he became very, very hostile toward Mr. Hofstein and accused him of all sorts of things. And he was very, very. He kept taking the floor away from him. It was I mean, I've covered a lot of meetings in my day, and this one was out there. This was pretty bizarre. And, Lon Hofstein just sort of held his ground. Mr. Phillips went off on tangents about the county highway building exceeding what it was meant to in its construction. He went off about it was all over the place. It was very hostile, and it was really quite a meeting. But Ron Hofstein, held his ground, and at the end of the day, he and one other legislator voted against this bonding. One of the really disturbing things is when you look at the history of Rockland, of the Solid Waste Management Authority, they have a signature project called MRF, and this a recycling facility. And over the course of time, that project had over 100 change orders, and has cost the taxpayer millions more than was originally accounted for. And so that's the concern here is just this escalating tax burden for a project that in and of itself has some very key questions. So, in addition to, and this is what Mr. Hofstein was saying, and he has said it before. He was reprising what's been said over time, which was that when Mr. Phillips came to the legislature at first, he never had a plan. There was never anything presented. There was no business plan that was ever put before the legislature. And here we are again, where here's this shelter that's going to be 28,000 square feet, 7 times the size of the shelter that we have. Accounts for like 100 exotic animals. I don't know where 100 exotic animals are going to come from. I think that it's just, I don't know where the planning is here. It just seems like it's going to be a very large facility. It will probably have many, 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 many employees. And, if it's better for the animals, that's all good and well. But there's also a flip side here, and that is, what is going to be the impact to taxpayers, and has this really been planned logically? And on that subject, and what we've been reporting for 2 years, is the location itself of the building. It's situated in a corner of West Haverstraw that is not easily accessed by major roads. It is also a building that sits in a FEMA-designated flood zone. It's within a whiff of the Joint Sewer Regional Authority, which in and of itself is a problem because this is constantly bad odor that's emitted from that facility. And then the most troubling thing of all is that there is a 454,000 square foot 24/7 trucking warehouse that is being sailing through the planning and zoning board in the Village of West Haverstraw that is a stone's throw from where the shelter is going to be built. It's the shelter sits on Ecology Road, and to one side is the warehouse that's being retrofitted, and to the other side is this uncapped construction landfill where the developer there is still trying to deal with the environmental issues, but the plan for that site is, as I said, a massive 24/7 trucking warehouse. So, I don't know if anybody out there lives with animals, but animals are very sensitive to sound and high-pitched sound and constant noise. And there is nothing more mind-bending than the sounds of trucks backing up. And while that warehouse is doing some mitigation, oddly, on 3 sides of the project, it is not the side that faces the Ecology Road. And the flip side is that the shelter, I don't even believe that, even though they're spending so much money, I don't think that they've built in soundproofing. So this is troubling. And just finally, just on the environmental front, is that this new shelter, which really was an on-spec, it was a warehouse that was built on spec. It's literally sandwiched between this uncapped landfill where the truck warehouse is slated to go, and the other side is the landfill that's been covered up years ago, but still leaches metals, leaches. There's a report actually that the developer of the proposed warehouse did that says that this is Boswell Engineering of Hackensack, New Jersey, and they found that that the landfills leach heavy metals in the water table right beneath the site of the shelter site. So, a lot of environmental concerns. This location, we've been reporting forever that it's got these issues. So that's, those are all the concerning things. Now, the proposed shelter will hold up to 120 dogs, 226 cats. Oh, and wait, I said 100 exotics, 213 exotics. So that's like guinea pigs, rabbits, and 45 avian reptiles. This is odd to me, too, because, again, I don't know where 45 reptiles are coming from. I don't know that there's any track record in this county that we have 45 avian reptiles that are stray or given back or what have you. So, again, I don't know how this planning has come together. I guess this is it's based on something, but not quite sure what exactly. By the way, the other legislator who voted against this bonding was Raymond Sheridan. He's a freshman legislator. Just wanted to note that, and that's that's what we're looking at with this new shelter. What I think is that based on the size of this shelter and how much money it's going to take to maintain it, jobs and the size of it, the scale of it, electricity, everything, the question becomes who's paying for it. So it's either taxpayers' burden entirely, or if it's going to be revenue generating, then the question becomes what's the revenue? I mean, there's no way that the adoption cost can cover the scope of this project. So how else is this shelter going to, become a revenue-generating operation? I think that is where the question remains. And, we will certainly keep reporting on this, keep watching it, and keep seeing if we learn any more about what Rockland Green's plan is to make this work.
We'll be waiting for that one. This is something we've been looking at for a long time. The shelter has been a hot button topic here at the radio station for sure, and we appreciate your commentary and your coverage of that situation. Thank you very much. Tina Traster of rcbizjournal.com. Check it out. Go to rcbizjournal.com, sign up for email newsletters, check out everything that they write about there, and you'll be amazed. Thank you so much, Tina. Have yourself a great week.
All right, you too. Have a great week.